There are things in this world that we can't explain, things that lurk just beyond the edge of logic, watching from the shadows. We convince ourselves that we are safe, that the walls of our home will protect us, that the locks on our doors and windows will keep us secure. But what if none of that matters? What if, no matter what you do, something is watching you right now? This is the story of the most terrifying night of my life, a night that changed the way I look at the world forever. It started as any ordinary evening. I worked late, came home, made some instant ramen, and plopped onto my bed to unwind. My apartment was small, just a one-bedroom unit in an older part of the city. The kind of place where the walls were thin and the pipes always made weird noises. I had a habit of staying up late, scrolling on my phone or watching random YouTube videos. That night was no different. The clock on my nightstand glowed 2:37 a.m. as I mindlessly scrolled through Reddit. Then I heard it, a faint tapping sound. At first I thought it was coming from my phone, maybe a video ad playing in the background. I paused everything and listened. Tap, tap, tap. The sound was coming from outside. Specifically, from my window. I live on the ground floor, and my bedroom window faces the back alley. I keep my blinds closed at night, but something about that tapping made my skin crawl. Slowly, I turned my head toward the window. My room was dim, the only light coming from my phone screen, but even in the darkness, I could see it. A shadow, tall, motionless, right outside my window. At first, I thought maybe it was a trick of the light, maybe a tree branch swaying in the wind, a reflection. But then, the tapping started again. Tap, tap, tap. My heart pounded. I sat up, my breath caught in my throat. I wanted to believe it was just my imagination. But then, he moved. The shadow leaned forward slightly. The dim glow from a nearby street lamp revealed a face. A man, staring. Right. Addressing me. The man was pale, his features sharp and angular. His eyes, wide and unblinking, locked onto mine. His face was expressionless, yet something about it was deeply unsettling. He wasn't just looking at me, he was studying me. I felt frozen. My body screamed for me to move, to grab my phone, to call someone, anyone. But I couldn't. I just sat there, locked in this silent stare, with a stranger who had no business being outside my window at this hour. Then, slowly, he smiled. Not a normal smile. Not friendly. Not even menacing. It was too wide, too unnatural. Like someone who had never smiled before and was trying to mimic what one looked like. A sick wave of nausea rolled over me. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't find my voice. I forced myself to grab my phone and dial 911 with trembling fingers. The operator picked up. 911, what's your emergency? I whispered as quietly as I could. There's a man outside my window. He's staring at me. He won't move. I turned back to the window. He was still there. Standing completely still, not blinking, not reacting, just staring. The dispatcher stayed on the line with me, asking questions about my address and what the man looked like. My voice was shaking as I answered. Then she asked something that sent a shiver down my spine. Has he moved at all? I stared at him. He hadn't moved an inch. Not since I first saw him. Not even to blink. A deep sense of dread settled over me. Something about this wasn't right. This wasn't just some random creep. It felt inhuman. The minutes dragged on. Every second felt like an eternity. The silence between us was suffocating. Then finally, I saw the flashing red and blue lights. A police car pulled into the alley, its headlights sweeping over the window. Relief flooded through me. I turned my head for just a second to tell the dispatcher that help had arrived. When I looked back, he was gone. The police officers searched the alley thoroughly, shining their flashlights in every corner. But there was no sign of him. No footprints, no broken branches, no evidence that anyone had been there at all. One of the officers knocked on my door and asked if I had security cameras. Thankfully, I did. I let them check the footage, hoping for some kind of explanation. But when they played it back, what I saw made my blood run cold. The footage showed me sitting in my room, scrolling on my phone. And behind me, through the window, the man was already there, standing, watching, for 2 hours. I had been sitting in my room, completely unaware while he stood outside, unmoving, unblinking, just watching me. Then something even worse happened, at the exact moment when I looked away to tell the dispatcher that the police had arrived. The man on the footage disappeared, not walked away, not ran, not ducked out of sight. One frame, he was there. The next, gone. Like he had never been there at all. I never saw him again. But I never felt safe in that apartment after that night. I moved out as soon as I could. But sometimes late at night when I'm alone, I still get that feeling that someone is watching me, that somewhere he's still there, waiting. And one day, he'll come back.